Let's see. So the previous chapter was named as oscillations, right? So the previous chapter was named as oscillations. And this chapter is named as waves. So what do you think is the difference between these two? So first we need to understand, right, why two different chapters? Because here also we are going to use or take the help of the trigonometric functions. Why we are going to do, we'll see it later. But first, let's try to understand what is the difference between the chapters oscillations and waves. So in oscillations, what was our main context of discussion? What did we concentrate on?
Simple harmonic motion.
Okay, I use the word simple harmonic motion. That's fine. Next,
Time
is it only
period.
simple? Here also you'll be concentrating on time period and all those things.
Vibratory motion.
Sorry, you're almost there.
Vibratory motion.
That's right. So we were concentrating on something called as oscillatory or vibratory motion. So what was happening in this? We mainly discussed about the concept of to and fro motion about a mean position. So if I put a question like this, did the particle in oscillatory motion have displacement? Did it have displacement associated with it? What will your answer be?
Amplitude.
Can you tell me? Did the particle in SHM have displacement associated with it? Is the answer yes or no? Are you guys able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me. So what is the answer for this? If I'm putting a question like this, did the oscillatory particle have displacement associated with it? Answer is
Yes, sir.
yes. Because we wrote y is equal to a sine omega t and all those things, right? Where y stands for the displacement of the particle. That is what we had been discussing in the chapter. Or a cos omega t, something like this, right? Where x also stands for the displacement of the particle. But there was, so if I take any object that is oscillating, if I have to call that object as being in an oscillatory motion, what are all the necessary forces for it? The main force that is necessary for an object to be in oscillation, what is it?
mg sine theta.
That is mg sine theta is a specific case for a simple pendulum. But what is the technical name of that mg sine theta?
Restoring force.
It's a restoring force. So if any object has to be in oscillation, it needs a restoring force. But remember, a restoring force will come into picture only when there is a disturbance created. Right? Does it make sense? So I'm saying when you create a disturbance means if the particle is at mean position, there is nothing for it to be done. When the particle is displaced from the mean position, you have created a disturbance. Once the disturbance is created, restoring force comes into picture. Once you release the object, what will the restoring force do? It will try to put the object in an oscillatory motion where it has a displacement associated with respect to its mean position. Right? All the displacements are measured with respect to mean position. So that is what is oscillation. Then what can you call a wave as? What is a wave? That's what we need to understand first. So what do you think is the difference? It's simple. Okay. So if I ask you what is a wave, something like this comes to your mind, right? So if this is how the path of a particle is, if I take this black color dot to be any of the particles, can I say it is a disturbance where the particle has oscillatory motion and also propagating?
So can you say the meaning for propagating?
Propagating means traveling. Right? So what is wave now? So what is the difference between oscillation and wave? So when you talk about any particle that is oscillating, it will be oscillating only with respect to its mean position. It will not move. Means the simple pendulum, if it is here in this particular location of my screen, you come after some any time, it is going to be at the same place. Whereas if there is a particle which is moving like this, okay, means the particle not only has oscillation but also has propagation associated with it or traveling associated with it, then that kind of a disturbance is what is called as a wave. Are you able to understand, guys? So let's first see what is the technical definition of a wave. So wave is nothing but a continuous disturbance, and the continuous disturbance, what will it try to do is it will put the particle in oscillation and the energy is transmitted. Okay, when it is, I use the word propagation, right? When the wave is actually traveling, it transfers energy from one point to another without the actual transfer of matter. Okay, see, for example, the example that is given is water waves are familiar examples. When a pebble is dropped in a pond, what will happen? Let's say you have still water. When you drop a pebble, what will happen? You will see something like this around it. What are these things? You'll see some ripples around it, right? So what will happen is the stone has actually fallen here, but it has transmitted the energy to the particles next to it and it has come to rest. So when this happens, the energy is getting transferred from one particle to another, but the actual matter is, that is, the substance is not traveling. For example, the pebble will be here only. Okay, the pebble has created the disturbance and it has disappeared. It's gone. It has not got displaced from its position. But what is getting transferred? The most important thing is the use of wave is to transfer energy from one point to another. Okay, please make a note of this. So let me know once you're done. I hope you're done.
Done, sir.
Okay.
Done, sir.
Now the next question is, what are the types of waves that we know? Okay. So let's see, what are the types of waves that we know? So when you talk about the types, there should be some classification. Types is nothing but classification, right? So whenever a classification is happening, there should be a differentiating factor. So on basis of something only a classification can happen. So there are mainly three types of waves. One is called as a mechanical wave. Second is called as an electromagnetic wave, or it is also called as a non-mechanical wave. And the third is called as a matter wave. Okay. So in this chapter, we are mainly going to concentrate on mechanical waves, and electromagnetic waves will be dealt next year. Electromagnetic and matter waves will be dealt next year, but it is better to know what it exactly means. Suppose you have any wave which requires a medium for its propagation, means which requires a medium for it to travel, then that kind of a wave is what is called as a mechanical wave. Okay, I'm repeating it. Any wave that needs a material medium for propagation, okay, then those kind of waves are called as mechanical wave. The example are water waves, and sound is the best example, and seismic waves. Okay. So what will be an electromagnetic wave then? Then what will be an electromagnetic wave? It is also called as a non-mechanical wave. So waves which do not require any material medium for propagation, that is, which can travel through vacuum as well, are called as non-mechanical waves. The examples are all electromagnetic waves like light waves, radio waves, X-rays, microwaves, infrared, ultraviolet. All these are examples of non-mechanical waves because also they all form a electromagnetic spectrum. You would have heard this word in chemistry. There is something called as electromagnetic spectrum, in which visible light is one of the parts, right? And the third is matter waves. So here matter waves, they exist within the matter as they are associated with the fundamental particles of matter like electrons, protons, neutrons. That is, what happens is there is something called as dual nature of matter. I'm not sure if you have heard this. So what do we mean by dual nature of matter is, so dual nature of matter means you take a matter, it has particle nature and wave nature associated with it. You need not worry much about it. We will discuss about this next year. Okay. So if you're done, let me know. I'll go to the next topic. Are you done?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. The next two types of waves that we are going to see are transverse and longitudinal waves. Have you heard these terms? Can you give me an example of longitudinal wave? It's there in your 9th standard. Guys, why are you not responding? So there is an example of
ripples, sir.
ripples you would have not learnt in your 9th standard. You would have learnt about sound. So longitudinal waves travel in the form of compressions and rarefactions. Okay. Anyways, we'll see what is the difference between transverse waves and longitudinal waves. Okay. Now listen to this carefully, guys. So please make a note of what I'm going to say. Transverse means perpendicular. Okay. So transverse means perpendicular. Perpendicular to what? If direction of propagation is equal to, sorry, not equal, is perpendicular to the direction of vibration or oscillation, then that kind of a wave is called as a transverse wave. If direction of propagation is perpendicular to direction of oscillation, then it is called as a transverse wave. Okay, let me explain what exactly happens. Suppose I take a string and fix it to a wall. Okay, I take a string and fix it to a wall. Then I create a disturbance here. What do you think will happen? So disturbance in the sense, if I vibrate my hand in this direction and leave, then what will happen is, you can see a shape like this. Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
That
Yes,
is,
sir.
if you capture it, let's say you slow down the motion, okay, and you're observing it by slowing it down, then can you observe something like this is going to travel? Now here what is happening is, the disturbance is created here in such a way that the particle is oscillating in y direction. Okay, for you to understand, I'm using the word y direction. But the energy is getting transferred in the x direction. So x direction represents propagation and y direction represents vibration. Am I right? So if the direction of vibration and the direction of propagation are perpendicular to each other, then that kind of a wave is what is called as a transverse wave. The best example that we can see here is string connected at both ends or one of the ends oscillating. Okay. So this is an example of a transverse wave. I hope you people are clear. So
Yes, sir.
an important note to be made here is, transverse wave travel in the form of, write it down, transverse waves travel in the form of crest and trough. TROUGH. Okay.
So I have,
Tell me.
so I have a doubt. So this crest
Tell me.
and truss is what you drew, right, sir, on the right hand side.
This one is there, no? Crest is the peak and trough is the valley. So this is not a commonly used language. That is why I didn't use. Crest is nothing but the peak. Trough is the valley. That is the depression.
Okay, sir, understood.
Got it? Yeah. Shall I move on to the next one? So the counterpart to this is longitudinal waves. So on contrary to this, you guys tell me, transverse means I told you perpendicular. So perpendicular means you should take the angle between which two parameters, the direction of propagation and the direction of vibration. You need to take the consideration between these two. So longitudinal, if you take the first four words, it is like length. So when I talk about length, what is going to happen? It is going to be parallel. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is, if direction of propagation and oscillation are in the same direction, then we call it as a longitudinal wave. So example for this is sound. And longitudinal waves travel in the form of compressions and RAREFACTIONS. It's called as rarefactions. Okay, compressions means coming close to each other. Rarefaction is expanding. Sound is an example. The other best example we can think of is a spring. Generally, they call it as a slinky. You can actually find this in your lab. So if I apply a force in this direction, what do you think will happen to this? Some parts of the spring will get compressed and some parts will have expansion. Again, some parts will be compressed and some parts will have expansions. Okay, this is compressions and this is expansion, which is technically called as a rarefaction. Guys, are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Okay, make a note of these 2 points. Okay. Shall I move on? No, see. So we're done with longitude. So this is what is a compression and a rarefaction. Okay. Next. There are some important terms that are related to wave motion. Okay. So if you see what are all the, so since wave is a combination of what 2 parameters, oscillation plus traveling, that is propagation. All the terms that are applicable for oscillation are applicable here also. What did we learn in oscillation? What are all the basic terms I told you? Amplitude, time period, frequency, all those things are applicable here also. But when I talk about traveling, what we're missing in the case of oscillation? Those points will get added here. Can you guys tell me? So when I talk about a wave, obviously there should be one important parameter which is called as wavelength. Name itself is there, no? The length of a wave. What is wavelength? It is the distance traveled between the distance traveled by the wave during the time any particle of the medium completes one vibration about its mean position. So this is a slightly technical definition. Instead of this, we can also define it like this. We can also define wavelength as the distance between 2 nearest particles of the medium vibrating in the same phase. Vibrating in the same phase means if one of the particles is at peak, the other particle also should be peak and they should be subsequent particles. For example, if I take a wave to be like this. So then how should I define a wavelength as? If I take this as the first particle, then I should start looking for which particle? I should start looking for the subsequent particle on the right, which is at the same phase. If I measure the distance between them, then this distance is called as a wavelength. Okay. So some books give it like this also. The distance between 2 successive crests or the distance between 2 successive trough is also wavelength. So I define it like this. The distance traveled by a wave in one complete oscillation. That is also wavelength. Okay. Are you guys able to understand? So please make a note of this point and it is represented by the symbol lambda. So obviously its SI unit is going to be meter. Right? Next is frequency. See, all these terms that you're learning here will be helpful in your chemistry also in atomic structure chapter. Okay, so concentrate. So frequency. Frequency means the number of vibrations completed by the particle in 1 second. So the number of oscillations by the particle in one particular second is what is called as frequency. So SI unit is obviously hertz. Third, time period. Time period of whom? Time period of the wave. It is not of the oscillating particle. So time period of a wave is the distance traveled by is equal to time taken by the wave to travel a distance equal to one wavelength is what is called as time period. The time taken by a wave to travel a distance equal to one wavelength is what is called as time period, and time period and frequency are obviously inversely proportional to each other. Okay, next. Amplitude of a wave. So what is amplitude? It is a maximum displacement of the vibrating particle from its equilibrium position. So the distance from, I'll use another color, see. The distance from this point to the peak is what is called as amplitude of a wave. Guys, are you able to understand? Any doubt?
So from one peak to another peak, sir.
Not peak to peak. See, peak to peak, it's not peak, no. This is what is equilibrium position. If you take this as a string, the particle starts from here. When it goes to this point, so this distance is what is going to be the amplitude. You're able to understand. So I explained the string example, right? So when you take a string, under equilibrium condition, the particle was horizontal, was lying on the horizontal surface. Once you create the disturbance, there is a peak it is attaining. So the distance between the equilibrium position and the peak position is what is called as amplitude. Same like an oscillation. Here till here, this is what is amplitude.
Okay, sir, understood.
Okay. So what is angular frequency? So angular frequency is defined as the rate of change of phase. This is what we would have learned it as angular velocity somewhere else. This is not a new term to us. So angular frequency means it is defined as the rate of change of phase. That is d theta by dt is what is called as omega. And you know the definition of omega, right? Omega is equal to 2 pi divided by t or 2 pi into f. So this I hope you guys know. Omega is equal to 2 pi by t or 2 pi into f. This we have discussed many times. Next one is called as wave velocity or phase velocity. Okay. So the name itself is suggesting again the velocity with which the disturbance or planes of equal phase. See this word you need not read. This wavefront concept you need not take it into your mind. The velocity with which the disturbance travel through a medium is called as wave or phase velocity. I'll explain you the derivation for it. So the velocity with which the disturbance travel through the medium is called as wave or phase velocity. See, all these points I'm discussing from the book which we gave. Okay. So if you have the book beside you, you can have it as a reference and make all the important notes I'm giving. Is this clear?
Sir, can you say for wave velocity what we should write?
V only.
No, sir, what we should write that points, sir?
This one, I striked it off. No. The velocity, they will not ask definition again. Nowhere definitions will be asked. The velocity with which the disturbance travel through the medium is called as wave velocity. It's like a compound now. Okay. Next, I'll explain how to calculate this wave velocity. How do you calculate wave velocity? So suppose this is how the wave is traveling. Okay, this is called as a complete oscillation. It started at equilibrium. It is ending at equilibrium. Okay, accepted. Now, how much distance has it covered in one full oscillation?
Lambda.
That is one wavelength, right? How much time did it take to complete one oscillation?
T.
Capital T. So what is wave velocity means what? I can call it as speed. Speed is nothing but the distance traveled per unit time. So the distance lambda is covered in a time capital T. So this lambda by t is what is called as wave velocity, or V can also be written as lambda into 1 by t can be written as frequency. So V is equal to lambda into F. Both are called as wave velocities. Clear, guys? Okay. Moving on to the next concept. Okay, there is a relation between wave velocity, frequency, and wavelength. This you already know. I've told you, right? Next is angular wave number or propagation constant. This is also an important term in this chapter. You will have it only in this chapter. So you know what is a wave number, right? In your chemistry, you would have learned. So what do you mean by wave number? So what is wave number? You have not learned atomic structure at all. Huh? Right. So the reciprocal of wavelength or the number of waves per unit length is what is called as a wave number. Right. So 1 by lambda or nu bar is what is wave number. Now what we are learning is called as angular wave number. So angular wave number is represented by this symbol K. I already told you, if it is only velocity, it is linear velocity. If it is angular velocity, then 2 pi. So angular word comes, you need to bring in 2 pi, right? Similarly, what do you mean by angular wave number? That is 2 pi into 1 by lambda, or it is 2 pi by lambda. So this is what is called as an angular wave number.
Sir, can you give a definition?
Go to
Sir, can you give a definition, sir?
definition is 2 pi by lambda, that's it. See, it is defined as the phase change per unit path difference. That's it. This path difference word also I'm not going to explain it now. I'm not going to explain it. Okay, again I have to take a moment for that. You can just write this 2 pi multiplied with wave number. Okay, this is how you write 2 pi multiplied with wave number, or the product of 2 pi and wave number is what is called as angular wave number. So what will be the SI unit for it? It will be radians per meter. 2 pi is in radian, wavelength is in meter. So 2 radian per meter is what is the unit of angular wave number. Okay, shall I move on?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just give me a minute, guys. Okay. Next, listen. This is an important term again. Progressive waves. So again, we know what is a wave. Wave is a continuous disturbance which transfers the energy from one point to another. And what do you mean by progressive? What do you mean by progressive? It is traveling. So some books give the name to this progressive wave as traveling wave also. Okay. So a wave that travels from one point of the medium to another is what is called as a progressive wave. A progressive wave may be transverse or longitudinal. That is not our concern. Okay, whether the wave is traveling in the form of a transverse or a longitudinal one, it is, if it is traveling, then it is called as a progressive or transverse wave. Okay. Now, the displacement relation in a progressive wave, this is an important one, and derivation is not needed. Okay, it's not there, though it is given here, you need not worry about it. So write down the heading as displacement of a plane progressive wave, or just a progressive wave. Displacement of progressive wave. Okay. Before I go to this, can you guys tell me what is the equation for displacement of oscillating particle? Y is equal to
A sin omega.
A sin
Yes,
omega.
I know.
A sine of, if I have to write the general equation, I'll call it as A sine omega t plus phi, where that phi is what is called as
Epoch.
it's called epoch.
Sorry,
EPO,
sir. Epoch.
epoch. No problem. It's called epoch. Okay. So if you observe, y here, y is only a function of time. I hope you guys understand what is the meaning of function. Function means this displacement y is dependent on which parameter? It is dependent on only one parameter, that is time, because a is a constant for an oscillation, phi is a constant, omega is constant. So t is the only variable. Okay. So if you see an equation a sine omega t plus phi, then that equation represents the equation of an oscillating particle. Whereas if you talk about the displacement of a progressive wave, here y will not only be a function of time, rather it will be a function of an other displacement also. So look at the way I'm going to write. This is very, very important. Please make a note. Y of x comma t is equal to a times sine of kx minus omega t. Okay, let me show you. They have taken it as omega t minus kx. Okay, I'll go with that itself. Both are right. Omega t minus kx. Okay. So there is a concept called as leading and lagging. Based on this only the derivation is done. Okay. So I'm not getting into much technical details. I will explain how to use this. That is what you need to know. Y represents displacement of wave. Okay. A represents what? It represents the amplitude. I'll show it there itself so that it will be easy for you. So Y represents the displacement. Obviously, A represents amplitude. Okay. Omega represents what? It represents the angular frequency. T represents time. K represents angular wave number. Okay. X represents the position of the particle. The position of the particle along x direction. And phi naught obviously represents the initial phase. Okay. Here, a very, very important point to be noted is you will see these kind of equations. Sine of omega t minus kx plus phi naught and sine of omega t plus kx plus phi naught. Okay. So listen to this carefully. If between omega t and kx there is a minus sign, then it is traveling in positive x direction. Please make a note of this point. If between omega t and kx there is a minus sign, then the wave is traveling in positive x direction. If there is a plus sign, then it is obviously traveling in the negative direction of x-axis. Negative x direction. As I told you, it is all because the way it is derived.
Sir, where do we use these two formulas? Like, how can we use these two formulas, sir?
I'll tell you. You have an important application of it. This chapter is mainly learned only for music purpose. If you know the basics of this chapter, you can actually design your own musical instrument also. I'll explain everything, okay? Please wait till I come to that point. As of now, accept this equation. Okay, are these two things clear, guys?
Clear, sir.
Okay. Now see. So next is phase difference and path difference. Okay, let me explain what this means. So phase is the quantity which contains all information related to any vibrating particle in a wave. Okay, so phase means angle. So let me give you a simple difference. Phase, argument, angle. All the three mean the same with respect to a trigonometric function. If I ask you sine pi by 3, then this pi by 3 in basic terms we call it as angle. In terms of mathematics, we call it as an argument. Okay, see, this word is actually not given in CBSE, but for other exams you will be knowing it. It's called as argument. You will learn it in complex numbers if you want to know the information. In a similar context, pi by 3 with respect to physics is called as a phase. Now try to visualize. Now try to read the definition. You will understand. Now, what is phase? Phase is such a quantity which contains all the information related to any vibrating particle in the wave. Okay. So, if I take y is equal to a sine of, I'm taking a basic wave, omega t minus kx, then this omega t minus kx is what is called as the phase. Guys, are you able to relate are you guys able to relate both the things? This pi by 3 and omega t minus kx. So whatever is written inside the trigonometric function is technically called as a phase.
Sir, so this phase only sir, so this phase only says that whether the wave is traveling in negative direction or positive x direction.
That will tell, yeah. That is one information it is going to give. I'll show you. So you understood what is phase, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now see. So what is the topic I'm talking about? Phase difference and path difference, right? See, if I look at the basic angle of sine, basic graph of sine, this is how a graph for y is equal to sine x looks like. If I call this as y1 is equal to sine x, then if I call this angle as, so what is the angle at which sine will attain maximum value for the first time? Tell me in terms of radian. If I take this as theta, if I take this as y, what is the value of theta I need to substitute in sine so that it gives me the maximum value? Sine x is greater than or equal to minus 1, less than or equal to 1. When will sine x give you 1? For the first time. What is the angle? What is the value of theta at which sine theta is equal to 1? You would have learnt in your 10th standard also, guys.
90 degrees, sir.
90 degrees, right? 90 degrees is nothing but pi by 2 radian. So I hope this graph is clear, right? Now see, if I draw a graph like this, wait. Do you guys know what graph this is? What graph is this? This is the graph for cos x. Okay, you can open your maths textbook. You can refer to 3rd chapter. If you observe, this will be the graph for y is equal to cos x. Okay. If you observe, I've drawn a vertical line. The reason why I've drawn is because, tell me, how can you write cos x in terms of sin x?
Ninety minus x, so sin 90 minus x.
So sin 90 minus x or sin 90 plus x is also cos x, right? So I will take sin of x plus pi by 2. Okay. The only change I'm going to do here is, instead of x, I'm going to write it as omega t. Try to understand, guys. I'm replacing x with omega t. Now it becomes, if I write in terms of x, it is max. If I write it in terms of omega t, it is physics. That's the difference. Okay. So with respect to the first wave, okay, with respect to the first wave y1, if I ask you what is the phase, what will you say? It is, I just now I told you, phase is nothing but argument, the angle, omega t. What is the phase of second wave? It is omega t plus pi by 2. Are you guys able to understand this? If I ask you what is the phase difference between them, what will you say? It is pi by 2. How did I get that pi by 2?
Subtracting both.
Just
Subtracting
subtract.
second and first.
That's it. So this is what is called as phase difference.
Sir, how did we get omega t as the phase of first wave?
I just replaced. I took it as y1 is equal to sine x. So sine x is mathematics is what I told. If I replace x with omega t, that is how you're writing the equations. No, here everything is written in terms of omega t only. No, where is it? Omega t minus kx. That is how you write. No, that is why I changed x to omega t. That's it. Here I didn't do any derivation. Okay, don't get confused.
I have a doubt.
Tell me.
We found difference in phase, right, sir? What will that tell us, sir? What do we infer from that?
What will it tell us is which wave is leading and which wave is lagging. I'll explain you what is the meaning of leading and lagging. For example, now you understood what is peak and what is valley, right?
Yes, sir.
So if I draw a vertical line, it is like a test that I'm doing. Means I'm trying to do an analysis of these two waves. What I'm trying to do, I'm trying to do an analysis of these two waves in such a way. With respect to the first wave, when there is a particle which is at peak, with respect to the second wave, where is the same particle present? It is at equilibrium. Okay. So what I'm trying to say here is the second wave is leading the first wave by an angle of pi by 2. Okay, this leading and lagging concept you will understand later because it's not there in your syllabus. You will understand. So leading means look at the starting point. At the starting point, who is having the maximum value?
Why?
So for the first wave, it is at equilibrium, whereas the second wave is having a non-zero value. Right? It is at its maximum value. So who's leading?
The second wave, sir.
That's the main. Okay. It is not only about leading and lagging. What will happen is going forward, you will take this wave and you will mix it with this wave. That's a principle called as superposition. That is, you will mix one wave with another. So when you do that superposition, you need to understand what will happen at particular points. Okay. So as of now, have this word superposition and this phase concept in mind. Don't think too much. I'll explain all those things.
Okay.
Okay. So just till here it is
Sir,
clear, no? The basic is clear, right?
Sir, in the first wave, sir,
Uh-huh.
the theta is, so the first wave, the theta is in the form of radians, pi by 2 only, no, sir. Then why
Pi by
should
2
the
straight.
phase of
Pi by 2.
first, sir? Then why should the
No,
phase
phase
of
of the
the first wave?
particle. That is one instance. That is one instance. Pi by 2 is only an instance. Phase should always have a time in it. Omega into t is what is phase.
Sir, then
Okay,
at
because
the same instant, then at the same instant only, no, sir. The second wave also pi by 2 is present. Like at
pi
one
by 2 is
instant only it is
present,
present, no,
but
sir.
what can you say about its position? See this red. Okay, I'm using a green color. The green color dot that I'm placing. So the first green color dot is a particle in the first wave. Blue color dot is a particle in the second wave. When the green color particle in the first wave is at maximum position, where is the blue color particle in the second wave at the same pi by 2?
Yes, sir.
You're able to understand. First of all, when I write it as omega t, here you will not have theta, rather you will have time. Here it will not be pi by 2. I drew the basic graph so that you will understand. It will not be pi by 2 at all. Here it will be in terms of omega t. Okay. Now concentrate. So that's what, so to put it in simple terms, in the exam they will ask you what is the phase difference, you know what to do. Right? Next. There is something called as path difference. Concentrate, guys. Okay. Now, from here to here, I've kept 2 black dots, right? Okay, I've kept 2 black dots. Between these 2 black dots, what is the distance called as?
Wavelength.
I've asked a basic question. This we have already discussed. Positive cycle, negative cycle put together is one oscillation. The distance between the
Wavelength.
starting point and end. Sorry?
Wavelength. Wavelength.
It is
Lambda.
wavelength. Lambda, right? So I'm preparing a table. See, distance and angle in radian. Okay, try to understand. So for the wave to cover a distance of wavelength lambda, how much is the total angle it is covering? This angle is 0 radian. This is pi by 2 radian. This is pi. This is 3 pi by 2. And this is 2 pi. Now tell me. For a distance of wavelength lambda, right, what is the corresponding phase difference that you're having? Phase means angle difference. So between 0 to 2 pi, it is 2 pi radian. Can I say it like this? Guys, are you able to understand? Now see. Now listen to this carefully. I have taken some random angle. Let me call it as theta 1. Let me call some other random angle as theta 2. Okay. And let me call this distance as delta x. So can I say, for the wave to travel a distance of delta x, how much is the phase difference it needs to undergo? Phase difference is always final minus initial value. How much is it?
Theta 2 minus theta 1.
Okay, I'll take it as phi. Phi 2 minus
5.
phi 1. This can I call it as delta phi? Because in physics and math, delta means difference. Delta phi. So try to understand. The top portion is a fixed data. The bottom portion is a random data. Means always to cover a distance of wavelength lambda, to cover the distance of wavelength, the angle difference has to be 2 pi. Similarly, to cover some random distance of delta x, then if I say the corresponding path phase difference should be delta phi, then this delta x divided by lambda is equal to delta phi divided by 2 pi, which implies delta x is equal to lambda divided by 2 pi into delta phi. This is what is the mathematical relation, and this delta x is what is called as path difference. If you ask me what is path difference, it is the distance between two successive points. It is a distance between two random points, that's it. It is a distance between two random points where the corresponding phase difference is delta phi, that's it. Okay, you're able to understand? So path means length. Difference is obviously a difference. So the difference between the length or the length of a wave where the corresponding phase difference is delta phi is what is called as path difference. So that is how it is derived.
Should I repeat it again?
You can please make a note from here. can make a note from here.
Sir, may I repeat that definition of path difference?
There is no definition. I randomly told. See, path difference means it is the, you can, okay, write it down like this. It is a distance between 2 points. So the distance between 2 points on a wave. So the distance between 2 points on a wave, where the corresponding phase difference is delta phi. That's it. Where the corresponding phase difference is delta phi. So if I put a question in reverse, for example, if I have to ask you one more question, I'll ask you, what is the path difference between the points where their phase difference is 2 pi? Listen to the question carefully. What is the path difference between the points where the corresponding phase difference is 2 pi? What will your answer be? Let's say just fill in the blank.
Lambda.
So one wavelength is the path difference between the points whose corresponding phase difference is 2 pi. That's it. Okay. So these are the basics. Okay. I'll stop with this.
Voice is low. Sir.
Tomorrow I'll start from here and speed of a transverse wave and a step thing and all I'll teach tomorrow. Okay. An important point. Just wait for a minute. So those who are